Hello and welcome to all our listeners. We're so glad you're joining us.
Yes, thank you for being here with us, tuning in to the Parsha, into the Torah, into all the insights we can draw from this week's portion into our personal lives.
And this week is not just any week, it's the eve of Tisha B'Av, but also we're beginning a whole new book, Sefer Devarim.
So we're pretty excited about diving into this Torah learning together. What's on the agenda for this episode?
Today we're going to take a look, or maybe more precisely, we're going to open up a classic, well-known question. But the way we're going to answer it, that's where things take a surprising turn. We'll explore a few Midrashim, but focus in on one that offers a totally different take.
You mean like the opposite?
Completely opposite. And it opens the door to a new way of seeing Parsha Devarim, maybe the whole Book of Devarim, in a way that I don't think most people have considered before.
I am intrigued.
And it ties deeply into the days we're in, the month of Av, the grief over destruction of Beit HaMikdash and exile, but also the yearning for redemption, for nechama, comfort, for rebuilding.
Oh, that's quite the buildup. After that intro, I'm all in.
Let's get to it then. So the Book of Devarim opens with the words, Elah HaDevarim asher diber Moshe El Kol Yisrael. These are the words which Moshe spoke to all Israel.
What's wrong? Oh, nothing. I just had this split second where I thought you were about to say, Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe lemor, and Hashem spoke to Moshe, saying. That's the line we've been hearing since the start of his journey. But this time, it's not there.
That's not what I meant to say. But you're right. Moshe begins this book with his own words, Devarim, from his own perspective.
And this speech, it's a long one. It stretches across the entire book of Devarim.
Right. Let's pause on that for a second. In Hebrew, the word davar, or Devarim in plural, can mean a lot of things. It can mean a thing, a matter, a topic, but here it clearly means speech, words. Moshe is about to launch into a long and weighty address, an extended vision, a speech that spans an entire book.
Statistically speaking, that's 1/5 of the entire Torah. That's no small chunk.
I told you, I should have known you'd bring in the numbers. But let's stay out of math class for now.
Fair enough. Whether by dictionary, statistics, or commentaries, whichever way you slice it, this is a massive speech by Moshe. Which brings us to the classic question. How is it possible that the very same Moshe who once said, Lo ish devarim anochi, I am not a man of words, I am slow of speech and slow of tongue, how did he become the orator of the entire book of Devarim?
It's such a fundamental question. How is Moshe delivering the great national address, broadcast in real time no less, when we clearly remember how strongly he resisted the mission, saying outright that he couldn't speak well, that he was tongue-tied, that he was not a man of words?
And remember, Hashem even responded by giving him a spokesperson. Your brother Aaron will be your mouth. So what happened?
The Ramban asks a related question. Why repeat things already said in earlier books? After all, Devarim is often called Mishneh Torah, a repeating of the Torah. But if you read between the lines, you realize Moshe is repeating Hashem's words, but this time in his own voice. It's not new content, but it is Moshe's own framing.
So maybe he is a man of words after all. But then why did he say he wasn't?
You're already Shoelu Mashiv. You're doing the ask and answer. So yes, Ramban heads in that direction, and other commentaries too. But I'd like us to do what we promised in the intro, to explore some classic Midrashim and then flip everything on its head with a totally unexpected one.
Let's do it.
Okay, first up, Midrash Tanchuma. Let's give this answer a code name,
Argaman.
Royal Purple. It tells a mashal, a parable.
There was a merchant who sold argaman, luxury royal purple fabric. He would go round calling out, Argaman, Argaman, finest quality. A king overheard and summoned him. What are you selling? The king asked. Embarrassed, the man said, Oh, nothing, your majesty. The king replied, What do you mean nothing? I just heard you. And the merchant responded, Your majesty, you are royalty. For you, this fabric, is basically nothing.
Right, I've heard this one. The Midrash says, Moshe said, I am not a man of words before the one who created speech. But when he spoke to Israel, it says, Ele hadvarim, these are the words.
It's such a precise answer to that fundamental classic question we asked earlier. That alone is a powerful insight. You almost don't need anything more.
Yep, sometimes it really is that simple.
Let's move on to a second Midrash, Midrash Rabbah. We'll give this one a code name Refuah, healing. This one is quoted widely by the Maharal and many others. For example, the Shem Shmuel, the Rebbe of Sochachof, brings this very mashal already back in Parashat Chukat, but that's not our focus right now. The idea here is Moshe was healed. The Torah, which is called Etz Chaim, tree of life, was the cure for his tongue.
The Midrash says, how can it be that Moshe says, Eila hadavarim, these are the words, when just yesterday he was saying, I am not a man of words.
Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Acha, whose explanation is brought in the Midrash, respond by quoting a pasuk from Mishlei, Marpeh Lashon Etz Chaim. The Torah, which is called the tree of life, is what heals the tongue that struggles to speak. That's how it was with Moshe. As the Midrash explains, he was heavy of mouth. He found speech difficult, but because he immersed himself in Torah, his tongue was healed.
Classic.
No doubt.
But now we get to the exciting part. Great answers so far, but you hear them in every Shabbos trusha. What about that special twist we promised?
I'm ready. This next Midrash is so good. It honestly blew me away when I first saw it. Same question about the gap between the message, the vision, the torrent of words that make up Moshe's great speech, and Moshe's own self-description, I am not a man of words. Only now, just wait, everything's about to flip. Everything turns upside down.
Let me just give a quick note for our listeners. All the sources we mention are linked in the video description.
Good point. So the next source is from Otiyot de Rabbi Akiva, also called Alpha Beta de Rabbi Akiva, a midrash found in the section of the letter Tzadi.
And this midrash doesn't just answer the question differently, it reverses the question itself. Let's take a look inside. The midrash from Rabbi Akiva begins right at that very moment, that first recruitment meeting when Hashem offers Moshe the role of leader. At that moment, Moshe says before Hashem, Hen ani aral sifatayim. You know me. You know I can't express with my lips. I am not a man of words. And what does the Midrash say? All of creation trembled. The entire world was shaken. What shocked them so deeply? They said, if Moshe, who is destined to speak with the Shekhinah in 175 places, if Moshe, who is destined to explain every single letter, every word, every pasuk in the Torah in 70 languages, meaning 70 interpretations, Shivan Panim of Torah, if he says before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I am not a man of words, then what about us? All the more so.
But wait, the midrash goes further.
It does. It says, precisely because Moshe said, I am not a man of words, Hashem rewarded him. He merited the privilege of hearing, with him I speak mouth to mouth, and of proclaiming, Ele hadvarim, these are the words. The Midrash continues, Hashem promises Moshe not only eloquence, but also access to the deepest rooms of Torah, every chamber of wisdom in heaven. No one shall see them except through you.
It's a long midrash, but let's start unpacking.
You know why I'm so excited about this Midrash? It's brilliant. Not that Rabbi Akiva needs my Yasher Koach, but seriously, it's just stunning because it flips the script. Most Midrashim start with Moshe's speech in Devarim and ask, how did someone who once said, I'm not a man of words, give such a powerful address? But here, it starts the other way around.
The whole perspective is future-facing. It looks ahead.
Right. Rabbi Akiva asked the question in reverse. If Moshe is going to speak directly with the Shekhinah, explain every word of Torah in 70 languages, how can he, of all people, say, I'm not a man of words?
And even more, this is Moshe who's entrusted with all the treasures of Torah and wisdom, the one whose words will become halacha leMoshe miSinai.
if he says he can't speak, what does that mean for the rest of us?
That's why the Midrash says all creation trembled. If someone like Moshe doubts his ability to speak, what hope is there for anyone else?
But here's the twist, and Rabbi Akiva spells it out. Because Moshe said, I am not a man of words, that's why he was chosen. That humility is what made him worthy of everything he received.
Exactly. The question becomes the answer. The reason Moshe receives all this is because of his humility. Because he said, I am not worthy. The I can't becomes the reason Hashem says, you're the one.
Wow. So that response, I'm not a man of words, wasn't a flaw. It was his greatness. I'd give this Midrash the code name Anava, humility. His refusal, his self-effacing nature, that's what opened the gates of divine speech and revelation.
And Rabbi Akiva isn't just flipping the answer, he's flipping time itself. He starts from the future, from Moshe's greatness, and then asks, how could he have ever said, I'm not a man of words?
Right. The other Midrashim work backward. This one looks forward.
And that future-looking vision, doesn't that remind you of Rabbi Akiva's reaction to the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash?
Absolutely. Rabbi Akiva, laughing while others cried, seeing a fox on the ruins of the temple, and already envisioning the redemption to come.
That story is so familiar. His friends mourned, and he already saw the comfort, the rebuilding.
I once heard from Rabbi Amital, Rabbi Yehuda Amital, I used to live just nearby, I was his neighbor for a time, say that Rabbi Akiva's vision wasn't just about miracles. When he saw that fox, he was already seeing the normal day-to-day Jewish life returning to Yerushalayim.
And today we see it too. Whether you live in Yerushalayim or have just visited, you see kids playing in the street, grandparents smiling on benches, and you think, what's the big deal? But Rabbi Akiva saw it long before it seemed possible.
That's the same lens he brings to Moshe, seeing the future greatness before it unfolds.
So if we continue that line of thought, Rabbi Akiva isn't just reframing Moshe's identity, he's highlighting a spiritual principle. True humility doesn't disqualify you, it prepares you.
So beautifully said. I'll add just one more detail. Among the promises Moshe receives is the ability to speak to Hashem mouth to mouth. The one who claimed no speech power gets the highest form of divine communication.
That's incredible. Let me ask, do you think Rabbi Akiva is only praising Moshe here? Is there no critique at all of his refusal to accept the role Hashem offered him?
Good question. It actually comes full circle in the Midrash, because the very word Moshe used in his reluctance, hen, behold, Hashem uses again at the end. Hen karvu yamecha lamut. Behold, your days are drawing near to die.
That's intense.
It is. The Midrash seems to say, even though Moshe ultimately found his voice, the shadow of that initial hesitation followed him. That same word hen bookends his mission.
But the Midrash ends with hope. There's a final hen of blessing.
Yes, Hashem tells Moshe, because of your humility, you will lead 550,000 righteous souls in Gan Eden. Hen equals 55 in Gematria. So he's given a leadership role among the hen tzaddikim.
I don't know much about mystical math, but that's a blessing I'd sign up for.
And even with that, Moshe still pleads to enter the land, to enter Eretz Israel. His longing teaches us how great the value of Eretz Israel really is.
And yet so many people today delay moving here. Well, that was a subtle hint.
Message received. But seriously, let's close with one more thought. You mentioned Tisha B'Av earlier. The name of, it's not originally Hebrew, it's Babylonian. But in Hebrew, there's a deeper meaning.
You mean of as in father?
That's one interpretation. But it also comes from the root ove, meaning desire, longing, yearning.
Oh, wow.
So of is not just about mourning. It's about will, the will to rebuild, the longing that fuels redemption.
So even within the brokenness, there's a desire to create, to heal, to restore.
The Lubavitcher Rebbe said, in Halakha, destructive actions are only prohibited on Shabbat if they're for the sake of building. Even destruction is construction if it holds the intent to rebuild.
So redemption begins with intent, with purpose.
When we act with sincere purpose, to add good, to build up rather than tear down, then even destruction becomes the beginning of healing.
Which means that all of the broken pieces of our lives can become stepping stones when they're aligned with Hashem's will, with the will of Av, our Father, our source of comfort.
That's what it means when we say Menachem Av, the comfort of Av. The hope is already embedded within the sorrow.
That was a long conversation, but such a rich one.
Totally agree. And we'd love to hear your thoughts. Please leave a comment or reach out directly.
And Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you all so much. Shabbat Shalom. And may we align our will with the divine will and speak with humility. These are the words.
Indeed. Ele Hadvarim. I need the source sheet.